Hi, folks. Holy shit, what is going on in this world right now? I mean, we know what's going on, but what is going on? I am in this place of just that emotion, just needing to breathe out and needing to punch something and just needing to process and needing to totally disengage and fucking just like tap out and flop out. And there's just a lot. And at times I am fired up. And at other times I'm like totally just like raised to the ground, zero energy, flatlining. Like just, oh my God, don't ask for another ounce from all the drama and the rage bait and the holy fuck, what the fuck, how did we get here? And I know how we got here. And like just all that noise, the swirling. I don't know if all of you are going through that, but man. And I just continue to check in with myself and breathe. And then I find myself on social media too much going, what is going on? Or news channels, or trying to figure out, or trying to hear, or God, just like wondering how we got into Handmaid's Tale here. And just like, oy. So I'm not sounding articulate because I don't think it's an articulate time. And yet, this is a moment where we need to be strong and articulate and powerful and clear-headed and standing up, chest proud, feet firmly planted, like root chakra grounded kind of energy. And I find myself pulled into just getting too much information, then getting frazzled out, and then tapping out, and then getting angry. And I'm just all over the board. And that's normal. Like, I think that a lot of us are going through that right now. And yeah, but it also just really drives me to like, okay, how am I dealing with it? Not just experiencing or living with it. How am I dealing with it? And that is an active practice. Like, you know me, folks, I am always talking about intentionality. I'm talking about integrity of how you walk in the world. I'm talking about leadership as an active practice. So dealing with it right now to me is like, okay, so what is my active practice in this time? And part of me doesn't want to talk about it, right? And then I look at my kids and I'm like, what is this world for you? I better model having an active practice of not having my shit together, because folks, I do not. Having your shit together, like that's a whole, that's not just a vibe, like that's a whole dream, right? That I'm always yearning towards, but never quite grasp. For me, it's more, how am I managing the emotional, physical, spiritual, the essence of who I am when things are so topsy-turvy in the world. And also, like, so what do I do with myself? And you can get 110 different pointers from ChatGPT or from your BFF over coffee, and it's just such an important practice right now that however you figure out how you're dealing, that you don't overwhelm yourself, and that you consciously decide, how am I dealing right now? Like, to me, that is just number one at this time. And so one of the things I was playing with is, how am I actively dealing? And some of it is like, get back to your foundation, Saralyn. Get your sleep, get your water, feed your body in all different ways, and pet the dog. Like just some of the foundational things. Some of it also, which has taken over the last 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, has been starting to shift the narrative of that has just snuck, that just continues to be prevalent in my life, and that I keep having to sneak in this practice to turn it over around around scarcity. And I'm not generally a scarcity type. I don't consider myself generally a scarcity type person. And yet when I talk about, I've realized over the last few months, when I talk about losing weight, get skinnier, I don't know, like just some of these things that I've said all my life, I'm like, I don't fucking want to talk about any of that less, smaller. I don't want any of that kind of language in any way a part of my world at this time. I want to be, gain strength, get stronger, take up space. Like I have no desire for any narrative, language, or conversation that doesn't bring me into a place of just feeling the abundance and gorgeousness of my presence on the planet. And my encouragement is for folks to do the same, because what is needed, there's a lot of things needed in the world right now, but one of the things that is needed is from a personal development self place, is to stand in the confidence and integrity of who you are and how that shows up in the world, and walk that path with a smile, some grace, some humbleness, and some fucking ferocity. And there's this space for me right now. There goes my alarm. There's some space for me right now about, like, physically, literally working with someone right now. Like literally I'm at a squat rack and I am deadlifting, and I've never done this shit before. Like this has not been part of my world, and it's taken me 6 months to get here. Let's get really clear. And there's a part of me that is like, you're such an asshole. Why are you making me do this with the trainer I'm working with? But there's a part of me that is, this is damn well what you're going to be doing. And you are going to get grounded into those legs, and you are going to fucking lift. And you are going to feel the power that takes, and feel the strength, not just from the physical body, but from the physical body feeding all the things for me to stand and take up space. And I am trying my best at just getting really conscious of what does it mean for me to tap in to a practice of resiliency that allows me, invites me, and encourages me and motivates me to stand in who I am, how I am, with a strength and an acknowledgement of rest and ease and the yumminess of pause. Do not get me wrong, but that is a practice around resiliency in these times that are just what the fuck, topsy-turvy, curvy, complex, tidal waving times. Part of what I've done is looked at that from a physical lens, an emotional lens, a spiritual lens, a financial lens, trying to, one of my words for 2025 is around prosperity and the prosperousness, is that a word? Maybe, of standing in that place of cultivating abundance when the narratives and the world is trying to keep people small, make things scarce, rip rights away, and so on. Like, it's like, no, I'm not bending to any of that fucking narrative. Not in my world. And so what is it for me that allows me to be able to create even the simplest of things, like the types of words that I use, or how I wake up and I'm at a gym at 7 a.m. and so on? Like, what are the things that I can do? Because for me, that is the type of advocacy I want to see in the world, is how I show up in it. Anyway, one of the things that I've done is I've created, for the last couple of years, I've created this thing called a resiliency wheel, and I'll share it with you all. And I've just created a course around it. If something like this is of interest, I'll throw it up it's in my newsletter. I'll put it up, connect it with this podcast if it's interesting for you. But the whole crux of it is, what is my intentional practice so that I can show up in the world in a way that I want to not only send out the energy vibes in this way, but that I want to model for those I love, for sure, and for the generations that are coming up behind me. What is it that I can show and demonstrate at a grocery store, at work, within myself when I look in the mirror, and not allow whatever stupid narratives are coming in my social media feed or whatever it is from politicians, that I can stand in the integrity of showing up and how I want to be showing up on a daily basis. And sometimes, folks, I'm telling you right now, it's damn hard. There's no energy there to do it. And so where do I keep tapping back in to remind me, what is my practice now? For me, it's using something like a resiliency wheel to get clear on it. And some of those clear practices right now is getting into a gym, no longer using small words, obviously spending time with my dog and my kids to remind me, and to the kids I don't necessarily find ease with them, but with the dog I do, right? Just tapping back into those things that I love, and trying to really stay off social media and news outlets, though trying to stay informed. It's a tricky balance. But all that to say is, what is it that is just my invitation for you is, what is your conscious practice? And in that practice, what is it that is allowing you to just stand rooted and grounded, right? To access that strength and that empowerment and power within yourself to say, this is how I show up, right? So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm at, folks. And I really believe that at this time, you got to go get your resilience and your fired upness and your strength, and you got to build it and be conscious about it, or else these narratives, politicians, noise from haters, like, man, is it ever? It's just so possible for that to just tidal wave me, and that's my practice right now. Is I'm just not going to let that happen. Stay in the practice, all. Stay in the practice and take care of yourself.